Hi, this is Patty from episode 115, Bigfoot on the Bridge, and you're listening to Cryptid Creatures with Brian and Todd.
So I remember shining my light through there, and I'd seen some really dark, there's a dark area in it, and I was like, that's not normal. The next thing I know, I'm just looking at what I think is a wall. I was looking to his chest, right under his chest. There was just noise, just a noise that came from it. It was a little bit of a grunt. I skedaddled out of there, I ran, I was screaming to my dad. And this thing had me saying, hey, monsters are real. Monsters are a thing. And I just stood in front of one and let's go.
I made it to the car first, and he literally came screaming. He said, start the car, it's a monster. Go, 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 go.
This is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me, as always, is my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
Brian, my friend, tonight our guests are Jack and Jason, and they had some Bigfoot encounters, I believe, going down the river. Right? We're going to bring them on and talk about what they saw down there. Are you ready to bring them on then, my brother?
Yep, let's get them. There they are. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good.
I've got Jason with me.
Just making sure I'm turned off all my stuff. I don't want nobody blowing my phone up.
Jack and Jason, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be with you.
Yep, it's our pleasure.
We know you guys had some Bigfoot encounters. Why don't you just start from the beginning, the first time that you or your son or both of you saw something, and tell us what happened, and just go through all the encounters that happened to you guys.
Okay. It was about 2015, September of 2015, and my wife's mother had passed on. And so the family was gathering out there, and it was probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock. We were out there from about 11:30 to about 1:30, somewhere in there. And my father-in-law's place is 10 miles east of Ponca City, Oklahoma, and it sits just within probably a mile or so of the Arkansas River off of Highway 60. And so we get out there, and the family has joined and everything. It's pitch dark, man. You can't see your hand in front of your face hardly. And so we get out, but what was really strange that night is the coyotes were going just crazy. I mean, they were howling and screaming and just going nuts. And the cattle were going crazy. Cattle were bawling, you know how cattle do when they're scared and stuff. They were bawling, and it was just weird. And so that was happening across Highway 60. And over on that field, in that pasture and stuff, on down in there is trees, because a thing called Charlie Creek runs down through there, and it comes off of the Arkansas River. So anyway, we go into the house and pay our last respects to the mother-in-law and check on father-in-law and visit with the family. And so we're waiting for the funeral home to come. And we go out on the front porch, and father-in-law has a front porch that's an L-shaped front porch that runs across the front of the house and then down the side of the house. Well, we were on the side that was on the side of the house, which would face east, and the highway would be on your south, and then the rest of the porch would run down the south side of the house. Well, we go out there, and the family is gathered, and there's one porch light on, and all of a sudden we start hearing this whoop, 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 and we could hear it just across where that field is, but it was down further in the field. And so my wife and I are just listening, and everybody's just getting kind of freaked out about this. The little kids are getting nervous, and father-in-law says, oh, that's just that big Bigfoot. Said, he's okay. He doesn't hurt nobody. Well, for some reason, Becky and I decide we want to walk out into the field and head toward the fence line, So we go out toward the field and head toward the fence line, And as we're going, this is where it kind of gets freaky. As we're going, I can hear over my head and behind me, over my head and behind me up here, I can hear this breathing, but it's like breathing in your throat, like somebody would be breathing in their throat. And I'm listening to that, and I'm not saying anything to Becky. We get out near the highway, and Becky suddenly says, honey, we need to go back. We need to go back now. I said, okay, fine. So we make a left turn, and whenever we make that left turn, I don't hear the breathing anymore. It just stops. And that was just weird. I mean, it was dark out there. The grass is cut low around the house. There is a building and some trees over there, which would have been on the side that we turned toward. And it was all dark. The side that we were on was pitch dark, the side of the house that we were going down. And so we start back and everything. And I'm not going to say anything to Becky about this breathing because I want to find out if I'm hearing things or going crazy or what. But the whooping is still going on. And now there's whooping behind us, way back, probably half a mile back behind the house. That would be going to our north. And so there's whooping in the south, and then there's whooping in the north. And they're kind of playing off of each other. So we go on. The kids are all taken in the house, and they're calm. The funeral home comes and picks up mother-in-law. And the family all says their goodbyes, excuse me, and says their goodbyes. And I get in the car, and I said, Beck, I got to ask you something, hon. I said, did you hear anything while we were out there? And she said, yeah. I said, I heard this breathing. And I said, really? I said, where was it? And she said, it was like behind us. And it said it was like above us, but it was on my right-hand side. And I said, that is exactly what I heard. And I said, I wanted to say something to you, but I wanted to wait until it was just us. And she said, and when I got out to the fence, in my mind, it just come to me, you need to go back now. And said it was like real stern, and said, I thought, I better go back. And so we go back. Nothing happens the rest of the night. But for the next probably 3 months, father-in-law keeps having these things where he's hearing the whooping going on. And there is a building that sits on a little road right across from his house, which is on the same side of the highway that his house sits on. And it's just a little, probably 8 by 10 cinder block building that's been, burnt out and stuff. Well, my father-in-law was going to church, and it was real foggy one day, and he said, there's a big buck deer that somebody's hit, and it's went over there, and it's died behind that house. He said, in the morning, I need to get that thing out of here. It's going to stink. I'll drag it down in the field. So he told me, he said, Jack, he said, I went out there, and he said, that night, he said, the whooping started again. And he said, the coyotes were going crazy again. He said, except this time they were outside my bedroom window. And I said, did you look outside? He said, no, I didn't look outside. He said, it was close. And he said, you could hear that the coyotes were fighting something. And every once in a while you could hear like a whelp, like they were getting hit. And he said, then finally it quit after a while. And he said, I went on to bed and got up the next day to drag that big deer out. And he said, I looked and it was gone. And he said, and he's a hunter. He's always been a hunter and a fisherman. And he said, I started doing circles, looking at the ground and patrolling the ground. And he said, I could find patches of fur all over everywhere. He said, I went a way distance. And he said, I couldn't find anything of that deer. Couldn't find any drag marks where like animals would have drove it away. He said, there was no blood. There was no nothing. He said, whatever it was, something picked the deer up and walked off with it. And father-in-law believes it was the Bigfoot. He said, it just picked that big, and it was he said it was an 8-point deer. He said he picked it up and just walked off with it. And so later on, about within those 3 months, the neighbor on north of him lives in a trailer house, and father-in-law said that the neighbor said something whacked the side of his house and just literally moved the thing about an inch, moved the whole trailer house about an inch. And when he went out to look, he said he couldn't find anything. Well, those things happened in 2015, and then we hadn't heard anything for years up until my son and I started fishing on the Arkansas River, and this would be probably middle of 2024 and 2025, because we have a fishing spot that we like to go to, and we get really big catfish out of there and everything. And we like to fish super late at night, when people go home and try to get out of there. So things started getting weird again, started picking up, and we had an encounter. And if you want me to, I'll let Jason tell that part of the encounter.
All right, so it was really late at night. It was probably about 1 o'clock, close to 1 o'clock. We were leaving, and so I remember we were packing all of our stuff up, walking up to the car. And I remember getting a call from my former girlfriend at the time. And so I told my dad, hold on, give me a second, let me answer this, and I'll get in the car. I have extreme ADHD, so I like to walk around, I like to pace, I like to move. I'm on the phone, or whenever I'm doing something and I can take it with me, I like to move. So I'm on the phone and I'm walking around. Well, I just happened to hear, not far off, I hear this noise like rustling around. And it's about, these weeds, it's like really tall grass. It's probably about 6 foot tall back then. It's probably about 12 foot tall now if it was still up. It was like really, really tall. Well, I was looking because I heard the noise, and so I said, hold on, give me a second. And I was on Snapchat, so I had to go off the app and everything so I could turn my flashlight on because it won't let you access it. So I turned my flashlight on and I was looking, and this stuff was kind of like a wheat color. So any type of vibrant color, dark color, or anything, I'd be able to tell that that's not the plant. That's not the grass or whatever it was. And so I remember shining my light through there, and I'd seen some like really dark, like there was like a dark area in it, and I was like, that's not normal. So then I remember calling her back and said, hey, I need you to stay on the phone with me. I see something in here and I heard it and I want to be on the phone. I don't want to experience this by myself. So I remember whenever I walked over there, I like put my hands in there. I had my phone in my hand like this. So I went like that while I was on the phone. And the next thing I know, I'm just looking at what I think is a wall. I think I am looking at a wall. By the time that I was going to look up, and by the time I had looked up, I was already backing up, getting ready to leave the area. I was looking like to his chest, like right under his chest whenever I looked straight. And this is only a couple of years ago, and I'm 6 foot right now, so I was still pretty tall, and I was looking at his chest. And so I remember after I saw it, there was just noise, just a noise that came from it. It was like a little bit of a grunt, but not the type of grunts that everybody talks about like these loud, aggressive grunts. This was more of like a grunt as in, okay, you saw me, don't make it any worse than it has to be, just walk away, nothing's going to happen type of a grunt. It was like, okay, you caught me. And so I remember I had skedaddled out of there. Like I had ran, like I was screaming to my dad. And I'm telling you, I'm hardly scared of anything. And I'm not trying to say that I'm the most fearless person. No, I'm just not scared of much. And this thing had me saying, hey, monsters are real. Like monsters are a thing. And I just stood in front of one and let's go. And I was at the point where I was shaking, like water was coming from my eyes and I was shaking and I just did not feel safe. I felt very uneasy. Well, I ran to tell my dad, turn on the car, blah, blah. He's like, what's going on? And I'm freaking out so much. I can't explain nothing right now. I don't want to explain nothing right now. I just told him to come over here and look. So, and here's what's crazy. So the setting that we were at was pavement for everybody to park whenever they showed up. And then they had this really tall, steep hill that led to a bridge. An open field was over here. And on the other side was water. There was only a little tiny patch of tall grass. So anything that was in there that tried to leave, we would have seen it. There's no place for it to go. We would have seen it out in the open. We go over there and it's gone. That thing is gone. Like it's just gone. It's not there. I didn't see it, didn't hear it. I heard it rustling around in the leaves, but I didn't hear it get up and leave. So after that had happened, he is asking me like, what is it? What's going on? And I'm just quiet. I'm still on the phone. I'm not saying nothing while I'm on the phone. Like I'm just completely quiet. I'm not talking. I don't want to talk. I want to go home. By that time, it had been probably a couple months by then, and my dad tried everything that he could to get me to talk about it. And he figured out that one thing to get me to talk about it was like, let's pull up some pictures. Maybe he'll point out a picture of maybe what something looked like. And I mean, he looked like back whenever knights and stuff were things, like medieval knights and stuff, their chainmail that they had that went from their head all the way to their shoulders. It kind of looked like that. He didn't have a neck. It was kind of just big and stocky. Like he just had shoulders, his head placed on it. Like he was just like a pro athlete or something. I mean, this thing was big. And he started showing me pictures. I eventually started talking about it. And ever since then, it's really just been this thing is real. He's a breathing creature. He's real and he can hurt you. And I was like right there in front of him. And I didn't go back for a while. I didn't go back for like a year or so because I was too scared to. I didn't feel like I was wanted there.
Yeah, it was pretty horrifying. I mean, I couldn't even get him to talk for a month.
Wow. How long ago did you say this was, Jason? A couple years?
This was, a couple years.
So how old were you then?
Man, I'm 18 right now, so I was probably 16.
Wow. So you were like, then what, a few feet of this creature?
Yeah, I would say about 3 feet.
So he was obviously spying on you, and he obviously let you walk up to him, but I don't know that he was expecting you to move the branches away or whatever.
I don't think he was.
Can you did you get a good look at his face?
I chose not to look up and stare into his eyes because I did not want whatever it was, Goliath in my case, to say, yo, what's up? And so I looked up. I wasn't looking for details. I looked up because I wanted to see how tall it was. I wanted to see the whole thing. And I remember looking up and I left. Like I was like backing up while I looked up. And I mean, dude, it's shoulders. I mean, you could take my head and put on its shoulder and its shoulder's still probably bigger. I mean, I got a good look at how big its arms were and, how tall he was and how wide he was. I mean, like you could take my shoulders and I got a long wingspan. You could probably take my shoulders and put two of these together and that's both his shoulders. So, I mean, yeah, he was big. I mean, wingspan was probably 10-foot wingspan.
10 foot?
10-foot wingspan. I mean, this thing's 10 foot.
Shoulders?
No, wingspan. As in, like, his whole arm is extended, like 10-foot wingspan. Like,
I see. I was sitting there thinking, what are you talking about? Okay.
Maybe more than that. You never know, right?
Yeah, it might be more than that. I'm just taking an educated guess because I'm 6 foot. My wingspan's probably 5 feet.
So you just turned around and took off, running back to...
Yeah. I was not wasting any time.
Yeah, I made it to the car first, and he literally came screaming. I mean, he was screaming, and he was cussing. And he was saying, start the blankety blank car. And I said, what? He said, start the car. It's a monster. Go, 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 go. Let's go. And I kind of was like, calm down, dude. And then I realized he's not joking. There's something that scared the daylight out of him.
So what'd you do, Jack, after that?
Me? Well, I don't get scared by too much and everything. I'm a pastor, and I've seen demon possession and all kinds of wild stuff. But I do believe that there is Bigfoot. I've always believed that there is Bigfoot and stuff. And I was kind of amazed, but I was kind of like really on edge because I thought, man, if that dude is here, where is he at? And, I was concerned, where's he at? Because I didn't want him like sneaking up behind me or something, But when I realized, and I don't know, we've talked about that. We've said, where did he disappear to? And we've kind of got an idea that we found out they can go down like spiders. And we're wondering if he dropped down like that, and we just missed him. I don't know.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy, red bumps start on my arm, then my back. Sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Yeah, that whole spider crawl thing is creepy, and we've heard about that too. They just seem I don't know. I've seen illustrations of it, and they just seem to drop down from a standing point into this, where their elbows maybe and their knees are up. I don't know, and they do this weird little, I don't know.
Yeah, it's freaky.
I heard it is. And why would something that big do something like that? You know what I mean? It would be weird to see like a chimpanzee.
Should not be seen. That's
No,
I guess.
No,
if
my
there's
thing is,
tall grass or something there.
has anybody thought about if he mimics? Does he mimic?
Could be.
Oh,
Because
of
if he
course.
mimics,
Yeah, we've heard about that.
Yeah.
If he mimics, then that spider crawl or whatever could be from an animal or something that he mimics to try to act more like them so that he doesn't get seen.
True, and apparently they have different anatomy than we do. Even though they walk on two legs or appear to walk on two legs, they can walk on four or do the spider crawl or whatever. They must have some kind of different joint system where they can.
I'm about to say, I wonder if they're double jointed and they're able to turn their
something.
body different ways.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
So what's the
Yeah,
next thing that happened to you guys?
Well, after Jason and I's encounter, probably a month or two after that, his girlfriend at that time, Pierce, and we were driving around. It was probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. We just wanted to get out of the house and just get away. And so we're driving, and about that time, we're back out in the country near the river. And I said, let's go see where Jason saw that Bigfoot thing. And she goes, I don't know, Dad. And I said, no, come on, let's go down there. Because I thought, maybe we'll see him. Yeah, that's how you are. And so she's going, this is kind of like a kind of creepy road, Dad. And I said, it'll be all right. So we get down there. Well, when you go down there, there's that parking lot, and you have to make a right to go into the parking lot. On the left side are those tall bushes and stuff, and a guardrail. Well, we don't even pay attention to the left side. We're looking at the parking lot. So we go into the parking lot, and we just make a turn. And when we turn, our lights hit something crouched behind the guardrail. And it is huge. I mean, I try to tell people just how huge this thing is. And all I can say is, I said, is that a wolf? I don't know why I thought a wolf, but it was the biggest animal I could think of, maybe. And even though we don't supposedly have wolves up here, but I said, and then I thought, no, that's not a wolf. If it is, there's 2 or 3 of them. And she goes, what is that, Dad? And I said, I have no idea. But then as we turned around and I thought, oh my God, it's a Bigfoot. And he had it was weird. He was trying to hide. and he had I could see his hands, I could see his feet, I could see his arms and thighs. I could see his shoulders and his back, and he had his head. He had his his arms right here. He had his arms put down on his legs, on his thighs. His feet were flat on the ground, and he was crouched as low as he could get. And he had balled himself up and shut his hands like gloves, and then he had ducked his face down. You couldn't see his face, so I knew he was hiding from us, and I knew that he probably wasn't going to get violent with us, because he probably thought if we act like we don't see him, that's what he wants. So I purposely slowed down, and I went back and checked my speed just so I could tell you guys we would have been driving probably 2 to 3 miles an hour, and we slowly go around this thing, and we're looking at him. I had my cell phone just within arm's reach, but I didn't even think about a cell phone. I just kicked myself now, but I can remember things really, really, really well. I can remember surgeries, and I'll work my mind to remember stuff. And so I start taking everything I can in about him, and we slowly make our way around him real slow, and then we have to take our eyes off of him to look back at the road so that we can make sure that we make the other move. And whenever we did that, we looked back, and he was gone already. And I went back to make sure I wasn't crazy, that there's not a rock or something there, or a stump. And so I went, and there's not. And when I went back about a week and a half later, I did find a partial footprint where he would have been. And it was big. My son and I, we've been out there before, and we have found a footprint, and it measured probably about 15, 16 inches long and probably about 7 or 8 inches wide. It was huge. But that was our second encounter, and this thing, I bet this thing, if he stood up, he would probably have been 8 foot at least, 7 to 8 foot tall at least. But thank God he didn't stand up or come to the car,
I think sometimes these creatures crouch down like that to try to look like tree stumps. A lot of people have said to us, I thought I was looking at a tree stump, and then it stood up.
Yeah, and then
so I wonder if they do that, to try to mimic a tree stump, and then hopefully you don't think, you don't see what you thought you saw, but you did.
Yeah. So, oh yeah.
Did you believe in Bigfoot before any of this stuff happened?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've, I'm a preacher, and I believe in the demonic, and I believe in the godly, and I believe there's a supernatural realm, and I believe that there's animals on this earth that we haven't seen before, animals that we thought may have been gone and have come, but they're still here, So yeah, I believe there was Bigfoot, and I've always wanted to see one, and then we got our wish in an abundance, and which I'm glad. I mean, I'm not sad about it a bit. I'm not even really scared about it. In fact, I'm just going to continue to research him and stuff. It says in the last days before Christ's return, it says, as in the days of Noah, so will it be in the days of the Son of Man. And I've wondered if maybe he may be Nephilim or something, because Nephilim were on the earth around Noah's time too. It said after the flood that they came back. So I don't know what he is, but I know he's real.
I think he's an orangutan.
Yeah, Jason thinks he's a giant orangutan, but
Gigantopithecus.
Yeah,
it's possible. I mean, but what do you think it is, Jack? I mean, you talked about the Nephilim. Why do you think they're the Nephilim returning to Earth, I guess, is my question.
Well, the reason being is, from what I can understand, they are a physical thing, but I think there's a spiritual side to them, just from what I've heard and what others have said. And then like the day in that field with my father-in-law's wife dying, when we turned around, where was he? And why did the breathing quit just as we were turning around? And where was he? And why didn't we hear footsteps? But yet we both heard the same breathing, And then there was Bigfoot activity on the land for 2 or 3 months, So I think that I do think that you can touch them. I think they could, if they wanted to hurt you, they could really kill you. But I think that there's a spiritual side to them. So, that's why I think that, and I'm not sure if they're Nephilim or not, but, I think they may be.
That's actually a great point.
Yeah, maybe one of these days we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're looking at it, we're more confused now than when we started, and we're trying to figure this out. But we know that this isn't just, we're pretty sure that this isn't just a flesh and blood creature. There's something else going on there. There's something mystical or something weird about it, or it has capabilities, like if we never knew that chameleons existed and that could change colors, and we saw this creature and saw it do that, we'd be like, what in the, you know what I mean? It's like magical to us.
How did he do that?
But maybe they have the powers that we just aren't aware of. And if we were aware of them, we wouldn't be so surprised. But you're right.
Yeah.
You're on the right path there. Maybe there's some kind of thing that, is coming back around. Like you said, the Nephilim or something in that effect. Nobody really knows. And that's what's confusing.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we will. I don't know. I know our government keeps these creatures covered up, and I think it's because they don't know what they are.
Man, I'm from the 60s and 70s, and I'm not a conspiracy theory, but I do believe that the government covers these things up. I think that they know exactly, that they're real, and I don't know, they may have one. I don't know, but I just believe that they do. I think they know stuff.
Oh yeah, we think so too. Mm-hmm,
have you guys ever, I don't know whether you can tell me this or not, but have you guys, in all of your visiting with people, have you ever talked to any people in military or something that they told them, shut your mouth, you're not going to say nothing about this?
Actually, yeah, we have.
I believe probably so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or they show up at your house.
Yeah, cops too.
Yeah, Yeah, I work at a police department, and I've got a good friend that he's interested in Bigfoot, and he told me that he was down in southeast Oklahoma, and he was out looking with the group, and he said this thing jumped from the tree, and said, Jack, when it landed, the ground shook. And he said, it was so scary. He said, I grabbed my gun and kind of arched up, and he showed me a video one time of night vision on one of their little trips out, and they were waiting on their buddy to show up, and this thing had been whistling, and you can see the buddy coming up, and they're talking, oh, there he is, here he's coming, and he stops, and he looks around, and he's looking into the trees, and he stands back up, and he starts walking toward him again, and this gigantic figure just stands up on the left side of the screen in the woods and just walks back into the woods, and the guy doesn't even look around, but the thing, I measured him, just pulling him, where he would be, and he would have been huge. He'd have been probably, that guy would have hit him about the bottom of his chest. So, but yet he could walk through those woods, and the guy didn't hear him. So, I don't know. They're pretty cool. They're pretty amazing.
There's something mystical about them. Definitely something mystical about them. The people talk about.
Well, there's
portals.
definitely. I think they're definitely way more in tune with nature than we are, so they have that advantage over us. They know how to use the earth and their surroundings in their favor, and we don't.
No, we don't, but they do.
So, yeah.
You know what's weird about them is, though, I mean, even if they are Nephilim or something like that, or something from another area, or comes from a portal, I mean, these things are still digging in dumpsters and traveling waterways. I mean, they're animalistic. You can call them humans, caveman, whatever you want, but they live an animalistic life. They don't, as far as we know, they don't live like we do. They live in what I think is they live in caves, or they make nests in deep forests, and they have people. They have families and travel in groups, and they watch out for each other. They probably have people that stay up while the others sleep to make sure no one's coming around the area and they don't flee or whatever. So it's weird that they're so animalistic on this earth. And if they are interdimensional or different creatures, which I kind of wonder, I'm not saying they're not. If they have that capability, why would they be so primitive? You know what I mean? Here on Earth. So it's so confusing.
Yeah, they're hunting deer and eating off of roadsides and out of dumpsters. And it's like, I don't know. But they're interesting. And, if you have an encounter, even if it's a horrifying encounter, it's kind of a blessing. Unless the thing kills you and maims you, then it's not. But it's kind of a blessing to be able to see that and witness that in your life. Even if we never understand them, it's still kind of interesting.
Well, I think that with any wild animal, I mean, it's, how rare it is to see a cougar or a bear or something like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
We have bald eagles around here finally. And every time I see one, I'm in awe.
Do you? Yeah. Where are you guys located at?
Northern Indiana.
In Indiana? Yeah, we have bald eagles down here, and it's cool to see them. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Well, we had one more encounter.
Okay, go ahead.
And this is probably the big encounter. We had went back out to our fishing spot, and it was me and Jason and his girlfriend Pierce, and we were out there fishing. And I said, "Man, it is like time to go in, guys. It's like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning." Said, "We're going to have to go." But we'd been catching a lot of big catfish and everything. And so there was like an encounter that involved all three of us. When I get ready to go up to take some of the fishing stuff up, I gather some of the gear and I'm heading up. But when you head up from that sandbar that we fish at and you head up back toward the car, the woods are on your right-hand side. Well, as I'm going up toward the car, I can hear this crunching in the woods, and I can tell it's something stepping, it's bipedal, and it's pacing me. As I take a step, it'll take a step, just like you always hear. And I can hear like that, like almost like a monkey, but not like a monkey, And so I just kind of act like I don't hear it, and it paces me up to the car, and Pierce is down there with the flashlight, and she's gathering up stuff to bring up to the car. So she comes up to the car and drops the stuff off, and she's mad because Jason's not coming, and everything. And so she says, "Well, I'm going back down, Dad. We got to go." And she's kind of like, "We need to get out of here." And I thought, okay, because I thought, well, maybe she's just tired, And I said, "Well, honey, I'll go. You stay here. I'll go down." She goes, "No, you stay here, Dad. I'll go down and get it." And so she goes down there to get it, and I'll let Jason tell what was going on at that point.
So she had, I don't know if he mentioned, but they took the flashlight with them. The only flashlight we had, they took it with them whenever they had walked up there. But I remember they were walking up there, whatever. I still had a fishing pole in the water. I was gathering up all this stuff, and I'm the type of fisherman that the last thing I'm grabbing is my fishing pole. The last thing I'm going to grab. It doesn't matter. if I can get that last catch, if I can get that last bite on my paw before I leave, we had a great night.
He's like addicted to fishing.
Telling you, had a great night. I'm going to sleep peacefully tonight, rubbing it in your faces in the morning. But I was grabbing it up, and everybody was all yelling and griping. So I was like, okay, I'll get my stuff. So I ended up getting my stuff. I remember all of a sudden I just started feeling really, really sick. Like I felt really, really sick, and my body was weak. I had a pounding headache. My stomach hurt, and I just thought, well, I'm on the sand, and it's cold outside, so I'm just gonna lay down. Simple. I'm just gonna lay down. It's gonna be cold, and it's gonna feel great. My body's gonna feel better. So I laid down. Like 30 seconds go by, and I'm still in pain. So then I'm like, yeah, this is not doing it. So I remember I was sitting there, and while I was laying there, something just felt like I needed to look around. I don't know what it was. I just needed to look around. So I started looking around, and I remember I was looking around in front of me, and I didn't see nothing new. I was just looking at the water and didn't see nothing. But I remember laying on my back. And so I remember I went up to look behind me, and instead of looking like this to look behind me, I used my head to look upside, like I was looking upside down, but I was looking behind me. And I remember when I was looking upside down, I just saw a figure standing in a field. It was just standing there. So I remember in my head, the first thing that I honestly thought was, this is some horror movie stuff, and I'm not going for it. But I turned over as quick as I could. Mind you, like I said, I felt like I was dying. Like I quite literally felt like I was dying. My heart was slowing down. Like I didn't know what to do. I grabbed all the stuff as much as I could. Got 2 steps, and then I fell. And that's whenever I realized, like, my body's too weak. I can't even carry stuff. Can't walk. Can't do nothing. And in my head, my mindset in that time was, okay, I'm gonna die. And there's nothing I can do about it. And it's okay. There's just nothing I can do about it. I'm either going to die from whatever's going on with my body, or whatever this figure over here is it's going to hurt me. I remember Pierce came back down, and she was asking me, he was like, come on, why are you sitting here? Why are you being so slow? And come on, we're trying to leave. And I said, like, I can't get up. And she was like, what do you mean you can't get up? You do this every time. You're just not trying to pick stuff up and stuff like that. And it took a second, but she, like, finally realized, like, I'm not joking. I can't get up. My body won't let me. So she was like, okay, hold on. So we eventually got all the stuff up there, and I eventually got up there. And, man, I probably felt like that for a good, I don't know, 15 minutes after we left. It finally went away. But it was the fact I was by myself, and I just turned around, and there was something like, and I could tell that I was facing towards its face. Like I knew that it wasn't just sitting there staring at the trees. I knew that it wasn't there just staring at the water. Like I knew that I was making direct eye contact. I couldn't see his eyes, but I knew I was staring straight into his eyes. And it was just that moment of utter shock, as in, we're not going to do this. It's just the utter shock of that he's just popping up right there, and he's staring at me, and it's like, yeah, we're not going to do this. I don't know what else to do in a situation like that. I got told that they can use infrasound, and they can do that to somebody. They can do that to the body. I actually fully believe the only reason why that he even came up as close as he did and in an open area like he did was because of the fact that I just got done cutting up some catfish, and I threw some catfish heads and some guts out there on the sand next to the water so that the birds and vultures and everything could come and eat it. And I have a feeling, like I said, they took the flashlight. So I have a feeling he walked him and Pierce up to the car and came back down, either knowing or not knowing that I was there. If he did know, I have a feeling that he was just sitting there waiting to walk me up to the car, like, hey, they're leaving. It's time for you to go now. I want to eat that food over there that you just threw over there. Or he didn't know, and he smelled that food, and he came up, and as soon as I started looking around, he saw me move, and he just stopped right there and stared. Because he saw me moving, he didn't know I was there. However, whatever the case is, I am just glad that he stayed that 100 feet away from me and did not get any closer.
Yeah, we went out there, and where that was, and I told Jason, I said, we're going to take this stick, and I'm going to go back, and you tell me how tall he is. And we measured that he would have probably been anywhere from 7.5 to 8.5 foot tall, and he was about anywhere from 80 to 100 feet from Jason. And he was just standing in the grass. He said, man, it was scary. He said he was just standing there looking at me, Dad. And we don't know why he was doing that, but it's kind of what we've come to the idea of maybe thinking is he was wanting to scavenge the food that fishermen would leave along that shoreline.
And my honest opinion about why I feel like he hasn't done anything yet, and yet I have seen him, is I truthfully, and there's hundreds of people that fish down there where I fish at.
Well, not hundreds.
I mean, there's multiple different people every day, so there's hundreds of people down there that fish there in town. So,
okay.
But people go down there all the time, and I don't see people at all fishing in the same area that I do. They fishing 50 feet, 100 feet away from my area that I fish in. I go to the same specific spot every time. So I have a feeling that he caught on to, because I always go down there. Every time I catch a fish, I'm coming home with a fish to eat. So I'm always cutting fish up every time I go down there. So I think he's gone on to the thing of, hey, this guy's spot, every time I see him, I can just wait here and there's going to be food for me at the end. And that's why he hasn't harmed me. That's truly what I feel. He hasn't harmed me because he sees me as a resource, to be honest, is what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. Well, they watch people fish. They watch people hunt. They steal deer when they can. They'll take fish if they can without being seen. And like you said, you're kind of down a little bit more than all the others, kind of isolated a little bit, so they could just watch you, stay out of sight, watch you cut up fish. Maybe you're not looking. They can steal something. But yeah, they're opportunistic.
Yeah, they seem to be. From what I've read and heard, they're very opportunistic.
I really haven't thought about, and then it's just now clicking in my head for some reason. I haven't thought about this. What did they say Yetis were? Yetis are like the same thing. They're just ones that live in the snow. So did they ever figure out what a Yeti was? Because what I'm saying, because it's really just not popping into my head that this thing, Bigfoot, could just be a non-snowy version of a Yeti. It could quite literally be just a brother or a sister of a Yeti, just, because there's like, you got a reticulated python, then you got a restricted python. You got the same python, but they're two different types of things, but they're related to each other. Mm-hmm. They do different things. They're different colors. Mm-hmm. Maybe Bigfoot's just a Yeti that's for the summer or something. You know what Yetis I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe
Yetis
it.
Are known to be more aggressive.
Yeah, a lot more aggressive.
The Yetis are known to be more white, too, and more in a colder climate. Take Florida, for example, with the skunk ape.
Higher up.
Yep. Take Florida, for example, the skunk ape, where it's like more of an orangutan looking, more reddish, maybe a little bit smaller than what Bigfoot is in the Pacific Northwest, and aggressive because, the heat and what have you. So they're kind of like humans, if you have Chinese and you got white people, you've got Africans and what have you, Hispanics. So I think there's different dialects of Bigfoot too. You got the more reddish ones. You got ones that have darker skin, ones that have lighter skin. When we talk to people, they say, well, it had black skin. It had more lighter skin. It had reddish skin. I think there's different versions of them. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the Yeti, yes. The Yeti, the Bigfoot, the skunk ape, the Yowie, the Australian version. They're all the same creature, just in different parts of the world. They're just called a little bit different, but they're 8 foot tall, bipedal / can walk on all fours and crawl like a spider. Apparently, big, humanish, apish, hairyish thing, whatever that may be, whatever God put on this earth to be here with us at the time. So, who knows? But we don't know what this thing is. But people are seeing it. You guys saw it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, when we drove past it, they asked me one time. They said, "Well, how would you describe it?" And I said, if you could mix a human and a gorilla and the Incredible Hulk together, I think you might have something like it. I said, because the shoulders were like round. They were round and just stuck on the sides of the shoulders, and they were probably about the size of like a bowling ball. They were huge. And it's just a weird put together thing, but I think it's flesh and blood, but I do think there's a spiritual side.
So do you guys go out looking for Bigfoot any time? Do you guys go hiking in the trails or anything like that? Or are you heavily involved in the Bigfoot community?
We're not with any certain group right now. I'd like to be. I think that'd be great and everything. And, but we'll go out to that spot, or we'll go out to Grandpa's or places like that. And when we're there, we do look around. We look around for footprints and broken branches and stuff like that. But we're just kind of starting our little investigations, which I think it's going to be cool.
Well, spread it out there. Start a Facebook group, start out that way, and, just expand it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people around where you're at that do the same thing. So,
yeah, it's, we had some people said that we turned it into Oklahoma Bigfoot research organization and everything. And they were kind of like, we know that there's sightings around there and everything, and the people I've talked to around here, there's been a few that have sighted, but there's not like a whole bunch of documented sightings. And I think it's because people just think that they'll be looked at weird.
Unfortunately, people still think that way. And unfortunately, people still do look at them like that, like they're weird, So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make that less and less on people. So, people can come to here and talk to us about it all they want.
Man, we thank you, because it's a wonderful thing to be able to come to you guys and to be able to talk about this. We just want to tell you thank you.
It's our pleasure. Believe me, we love doing this.
Jason, what's in your future with Bigfoot?
Man, honestly, I honestly do hope in the future to go out and looking for him, and instead of accidentally running into him, purposefully running into him and looking for him and finding him.
Yeah.
Do I honestly feel like I would jump on his back? No. But do I know some people that will? Yes, I really do.
Yeah, they're that stupid.
Well, they say that now, but
wait till they see him.
You know what's been talked about for a while now. People are talking about some 100 men versus one gorilla. That's a thing. So I'm just waiting for some people to say 100 men versus Bigfoot and then try it out. It's just going to get bad.
Yeah, because it's probably not going to be one Bigfoot. It's going to be a family of Bigfoots or more. So.
Yeah. That's the thing that people aren't really thinking about. It's like, how are you going to get one of these animals by themselves with 100 of you? I hope they see 100 of you. They're either going to gang up against you or they're all running.
Yeah, and not only that, but they can get vengeful too if you start messing with them. Trying to hurt them and stuff.
But I'm planning on trying to. See him some more and try to capture some good photos, try to, get some evidence out there and some proof out there that, people don't have.
Yeah.
I know nobody out there has a picture of his actual face. I know nobody has a picture of what his actual fur looks like. I mean, nobody's gone that right up close next to it.
I don't know.
As far as we know, that
hopefully you'll be the first. That'd be great.
But yeah. I mean, you were really close. You're about as close as anybody can get. You would know, I guess. So, But Jack and Jason, thank you guys so much for being here with us.
Hey, if you end up starting that Facebook group, send it to us. Let us know. We'll get the word out. We will do it.
Yeah, for sure.
We will do it. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
All right, guys. Well, again, we appreciate it. And thanks for being here. If you get out there and anything else happens, reach out to us for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know.
Yeah, we most definitely will.
We will.
Thank you so much.
You
All right, guys
too.
have a good night.
Have a good one.
Again.
Yeah, blessed night. Have a good night.
All right, cool. I'm having them on, man. I did not know that Jack was a preacher.
I didn't either. That's very interesting.
But, helps kind of validate the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
He seems pretty honest dude and down to earth.
Yeah.
As well. And so does
Sure
Jason was a good kid. I like talking to him, too.
Yeah, great man.
Good for those guys, man. I mean...
Heck yeah. I hope they keep getting out there, and I hope they keep finding stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just... like we said, and they even made the comment about how many people have talked about it, but then there's so many more out there that have not came forward. And Oklahoma's becoming a big popular state for Bigfoot sightings, as we know. And I was looking on the map. I mean, if you get into eastern Oklahoma, it's hilly, and getting in the foothills there a little bit of that mountain range. So. The Ouachita National Forest. Wichita, how do we say that? I forget. Is it Wichita or Ouachita?
Ouachita, I think it is.
Ouachita National Forest there. So.
Yeah.
But again, they're kind of in the foothills, which we hear that a lot too. These sightings are happening in the foothills, not way up in the mountains.
Not way up high, yeah.
So these things are coming down.
It makes sense. So why would they be up high? There's, once they get past the tree line, there's nothing up there.
It's hard for me to believe that these things are existing if they're just natural living creatures without any majestic, magical powers that can go in and out of portals or come and go.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe that they're able to stay up in the mountains, hidden in caves, what have you, come down at night, spider crawl around, and peek in our windows and do what they're doing.
Why not? Maybe there's a reason they're here. Maybe there's a reason they're doing what they're doing. We don't know.
Maybe one day we'll know.
Maybe one day we'll find out.
Awesome hanging out with you again, brother.
Always fun, brother. Always learning.
All right, man. I'll see you in next episode. Sound good?
Yep. See ya.